Hi, right now I will be presenting on the paper Effects of Level of Meditation Experience on Attentional Focus. Is the efficiency of executive or orientation networks improved? I will start with meditation and its effects, then I will continue with the involved neural networks, the present investigation, the methods, result, and conclusion. What is meditation? Well, meditation involves techniques which all have in common the conscious attempt to focus attention by, for example, making those who do it to observe their breaths and be in the moment. It helps increase focus, reduces stress, and it also improves treatments for hypertension, insomnia, and clinical anxiety. So it's very essential. There are two distinct effects of distinct types of meditation. The state effect is the short-term consequences of meditation on the individual. It includes changes in body awareness, relaxations, changes in emotion and attention, which are determined immediately after participants meditate, for example, through an EEG. Trait effects, on the other hand, are the long-lasting changes in the same dimensions, and it involves the lasting changes that continue during a meditator's daily life. And the hypothesized consequences are that at both levels, participants would have an increased ability to focus their attention, because state effects showed great evidence for this. However, trait effects have not been examined by professionals as often. The neural networks involved in attention and meditation. According to previous studies, the executive attentional focus is involved as meditation increases the regional cerebral blood flow, and meditation is correlated with the increased frontal activity and the executive attention and executive attention tasks, and it increases executive attentional focus. The networks mentioned are the frontal cortex and the cingulate gyrus. And if you remember, executive attentional networks enables us to ignore task-irrelevant things and to be in the moment, or to continue with the task. Orientation attention, on the other hand, decreases in the activity in the attentional orientation is associated with the superior parietal lobe, the posterior lobe. So, the authors hypothesized that meditation could improve the efficiency of orientational processing by training participants to shift their attention towards a specific object. And meditation could improve the efficiency of executive processing by which monitors the conflict in the sensory information and inhibits incorrect responses, which counts for all tasks that could interfere with attention and their inhibition. I don't know why my slides keep on going backwards. I apologize for this. So the participants selected for this experiment were selected from meditation centers, universities, and senior centers. 50 meditators, experienced meditators, were selected. 20 were assigned to the concentrative meditation group, or labeled as concentrative meditators. 30 as opening up meditators. So these are subdivisions of meditations which the study distinguished. The concentrative meditation is meditators are during the concentrative meditation, meditators are usually instructed to return their attention to objects after realizing their attention has shifted. And opening up meditation involves expanding your awareness to feelings, thoughts, and sensations as they arise, but not necessarily trying to focus on the present, but more so on accepting without judgment. So the experience level of meditators was determined through a questionnaire at the beginning of the experiment, which asked for the minutes of meditation participants did per day, ranging from 6 to 150 minutes. And it also asks for the total hours of meditation meditators did in their lifetime. And the study attempted to minimize effects of confounding variables such as the motivation or personality participants had on performing meditation. And it only wanted to focus on attentional performance. So, based on their experience, participants would overcome 2 interference tasks, and they detected this by making participants do a Stroop task, which was a typical standardized 3-page paper Stroop test. The first page entailed names of colors printed in black. Participants had 45 seconds to read the columns of words. The second page had color consisted of 5 X's printed in either red, green, or blue, and participants had to name the color in which the X's were printed. On the third page, there were color words which consisted of color names from first page printed in the colors of the second page, and participants had to name the color in which the words were printed, which here we would see an interference, and this interference was expected to be less depending on the overall experience of meditators. And you can see here an example of the Stroop task that they used. Now, the second method they used to determine improved attention in experienced meditators was the global local letter task. They used the lateralized stimuli which would maximize the interference effect. The stimulus was presented in 2 blocks of 100 trials, 9 practice trials, 40 congruent trials, 40 incongruent trials, and 20 neutral trials. What was the global local letter task? Well, they used a set of hierarchically formed stimuli generated on a 50-inch monitor, and they presented large letters which were constructed from appropriate placements of small letters. So the targets were H and S. These letters they called global or local letters. And in congruent trials, the same letter appeared at the local and global levels. So if they presented an S, the smaller letters were also small s's. In incongruent trials, that would be the opposite letter. Here you can see a table for that. And neutral trials where stimulus had either one small letter presented alone or a large letter composed of small o's, where you would see no interference. So, on to the results. The results for the Stroop task showed that meditation experience level for minutes per day was negatively correlated with Stroop interference. There was no correlation between meditation experience in the total number of hours meditators did in their lifetime and the Stroop interference. No difference in interference scores between concentrative and opening up meditators were found. Here you can see figure 1, which shows the Stroop interference scores of meditators plotted against minutes of meditation per day, showing a negative correlation with the Stroop interference, which means a positive indicator of their attention. And the Stroop effects for the opening up meditators and for all meditators combined were both significant. However, for the concentrative meditators alone, it was not. Meditators showed superior overall performance on the Stroop task as indicated by the significantly higher scores than non-medicators on the following components, which you can see on table 2. And now on to the results for the global local letter task. Interference was assessed using a congruency effect score, which was calculated as the reaction time on incongruent trials minus the reaction time on congruent trials for the participants. And there was no correlation detected for the congruency effect score and meditation experience for minutes per day or total numbers of hours of practice in either the global or the local condition. Meditation experience as minutes per day was associated with faster response time across all trial types in both conditions. So no difference detected here. This effect of meditation experience on reaction time reached certain significance for as follows. This suggested that meditation experience enhances one's general performance on attentional tasks. The global condition showed that meditators were better than non-meditators for congruent trials and than incongruent trials. And the local condition, meditators were better than non-meditators during congruent trials and neutral trials, and significantly only for neutral trials. Significance was only found for neutral trials. You can see on table for the mean reaction times for each of the global local letter task trials for the 3 subject groups. Discussion. The Stroop task showed significant reduction in the interference and in attentional interference, which was correlated with experience in meditating. Global local letter task interference showed a lack of effective meditation. Meditation produced long-term increases in the efficiency of the executive attentional network, so anterior cingulate and prefrontal cortex, and but no effect on the orientation network, which involves the parietal system. So participants were good at understanding the relevant, differentiating relevant from irrelevant stimuli and focusing on what is needed, but they were not as good as shifting their attention intentionally, which would have been seen with the orientation attention. Inhibition of automatic responses did improve. Participants were able to shift their attention from distracting externally generated stimuli or internally generated thoughts in favor of the desired response. So I think this is a contradicting point here, which this would actually show that they were able to find some orienting effects. Meditators were also faster on all tasks. This could be, however, also due to enhanced visual motor abilities or to a greater ability to focus attention in general. Across all trial types, participants who spent more time meditating each day responded more rapidly, on average. In both experiments, minutes participants spent per day doing meditation improved their performance scores significantly. However, the amount of time participants spent meditating overall in their lifetimes was less significant in comparison. The limitations are that all subjects performed at nearly perfect levels on the global local letter task, which means that the current study could have selected a more difficult task, which would be better at detecting orienting effects. And differences between meditators and non-meditators on task performance could also be potentially due to individual differences. Future research, therefore, should conduct a properly controlled longitudinal study examining Stroop interference changes which occur as a result of a specific period of meditation training. And my question is, how can we decrease the possibility that enhanced attentional performance might be related to visual motor abilities rather than greater attentional abilities? Thank you for listening.